What if I told you that the secret to transforming your life, to achieving those huge, audacious goals, wasn't about massive, earth-shattering action? What if it was about something much smaller, something almost invisible?
Welcome, everyone, to the 1% Shift, the podcast where we explore the small, consistent actions that lead to remarkable results. I'm Sam.
And I'm Alex. Today, we are diving deep into a book that has completely changed the game for millions of people when it comes to habits, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
It's a modern classic for a reason. And Alex, I have to admit, I used to be the queen of setting massive, unrealistic goals every January 1st. I'm going to run a marathon by March, having never run more than a mile.
Oh, I know that feeling. Mine was, I'm going to become fluent in Spanish this year. I bought the apps, the books, and by February, my motivation was completely gone. I felt like a failure because I wasn't seeing any progress.
Exactly. And that's the first huge concept Clear introduces that feels like a weight being lifted off your shoulders. He calls it the plateau of latent potential.
Right, it's such a powerful visual. He uses the analogy of an ice cube in a cold room. Imagine the room is 25 degrees. You start slowly heating it up, 26 degrees, 27, 28.
And nothing seems to be happening. The ice cube is still just an ice cube.
Exactly. You're putting in all this energy, raising the temperature degree by degree, and you see no outward result. It's discouraging. You might think this isn't working, but then you hit 32 degrees, and suddenly the breakthrough happens. The ice begins to melt.
And the key insight is that the work you did from 25 to 31 degrees wasn't wasted. It was all being stored. That's the latent potential. It's the same with habits. Going to the gym for a week won't transform your body, but it's storing potential that will one day lead to a breakthrough.
It completely reframes failure. You didn't fail, you just haven't hit the breakthrough point yet. But this leads to an even more fundamental idea in the book, which is where we need to start. It's not about the goals at all, is it?
Not at all. This is the core of the whole philosophy, the shift from goal-based thinking to identity-based habits. We all set goals like, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to write a novel.
Outcome focused.
Right, and Clear argues this is backwards. He describes 3 layers of behavior change. The outer layer is outcomes, the middle is processes, and the core, the deepest layer, is identity.
And most of us start from the outside in. We start with the outcome we want, and we try to force the processes that might get us there. But our underlying identity, our beliefs about ourselves, often stays the same.
Exactly. The real change happens when you start from the inside out. You don't start with what, you start with who. Who is the type of person who could achieve the thing I want to achieve?
So the goal isn't to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner.
Precisely. The goal isn't to write a book, it's to become a writer. Once you adopt that identity, the question changes. It's no longer, how can I motivate myself to write 1,000 words? It's, what would a writer do today?
And the answer might just be write 1 sentence, but you did it. And this is the part I love. Clear says every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
That's such a powerful reframe. When you do 5 push-ups, you're not just exercising, you're casting a vote for, I'm a person who is fit and cares about my health. When you choose a salad over fries, you're casting a vote for that same identity.
And these small votes, these tiny habits, start to add up. They provide evidence to your brain that this new identity is real. You're not pretending to be a healthy person, you are becoming one through your actions. It's about embodying the identity, not just chasing the outcome.
It builds a new feedback loop. Instead of feeling bad that you're not at the finish line, you feel good about taking one small step that aligns with who you want to be. It's about pride in your identity.
Absolutely. And once you have that foundation, once you've decided on the who, you can then build the what. And that's where the book gets incredibly practical with its central framework.
Yes, the 4 laws of behavior change. This is the engine of the whole system.
All right, this is the tactical part, the playbook for actually building good habits and breaking bad ones, the 4 laws. The first law is make it obvious.
This is all about the cue, the trigger that kicks off a habit. He says many of our bad habits are driven by obvious cues in our environment. You see cookies on the counter, you eat cookies. You see your phone buzz, you check your phone.
So to build a good habit, you have to engineer your environment to make the cues for your good habits obvious. If you want to practice guitar, don't leave it in the case in the closet. Put it on a stand in the middle of your living room.
Right, or if you want to remember to take your vitamins, put the bottle right next to your coffee maker. And a brilliant strategy he offers for this is called habit stacking.
This is a game changer. The formula is, after I do my current habit, I will do my new habit. You anchor the new behavior you want to adopt to one that's already wired into your brain.
So, after I pour my morning cup of coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Or, after I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes. It removes the need to decide when and where you'll do the habit. The cue is built in.
Okay, so that's making the cue obvious. Law number 2 gets into the motivation. Make it attractive. And this works just as powerfully in reverse for breaking bad habits. The inverse of the first law is make it invisible. Willpower is a finite resource. We can't rely on it. Instead of trying to resist temptation, it's easier to just remove it from our environment altogether.
That's so true. I found that when I was trying to cut down on mindless snacking, telling myself don't eat cookies was useless when there was a plate of them on the counter. My brain saw the cookie and the habit loop was already running. But when I just stopped buying them or kept them in an opaque container on the highest shelf, the craving almost disappeared. I didn't have to fight the temptation because I rarely even felt it.
This taps into our brain's reward system. We're more likely to do something if we anticipate a dopamine hit. A great technique for this is temptation bundling.
Exactly. It's about being the architect of your environment, not a victim of it. If you want to stop mindlessly scrolling on your phone at night, don't just rely on willpower. Charge your phone in the kitchen overnight, not on your nightstand. You're not fighting the urge, you're removing the cue. The battle is won before it even starts. I love this one. It's about pairing an action you want to do with an action you need to do.
For example, I will only listen to my favorite podcast while I'm doing my weekly meal prep. Or the classic, I'm only allowed to watch my guilty pleasure Netflix show while I'm on the stationary bike.
It's brilliant because eventually your brain starts to associate the difficult habit with the thing you enjoy. You start looking forward to getting on the bike because it means you get to watch your show. You're making the habit attractive by linking it to something that already gives you a dopamine rush.
Okay, so we've made it obvious and attractive. But if it's still hard, we probably won't do it. Which brings us to law number 3. Make it easy. And there's another, perhaps even more powerful layer to making habits attractive. Clear talks about the incredible pull of social norms. We are fundamentally wired to belong, to fit in with the tribe.
This is about fighting the law of least effort. Our brains are wired to conserve energy, so we naturally gravitate towards the easiest option. The key is to reduce the friction associated with our good habits. Oh, absolutely. He says we tend to imitate the habits of 3 main groups. The close, like our family and friends, the many, like our culture or society, and the powerful, like people we admire and look up to. If you're surrounded by people who are all focused on fitness, going to the gym suddenly becomes the attractive, normal thing to do.
And the single best way to do this is the 2-minute rule.
The 2-minute rule states that when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. It's about making the starting ritual as easy as humanly possible.
So read every night becomes read one page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. Go for a run becomes put on my running shoes.
It seems almost ridiculously simple, but it works. The point isn't to get results in 2 minutes. The point is to master the habit of showing up. Anyone can put on their running shoes. Anyone can read one page. It makes it impossible to say no.
And once you've started, inertia often carries you forward. Once the running shoes are on, you might as well go for a walk or even a short run. But even if you don't, you still succeeded because you completed the 2-minute version of the habit. You cast that vote for your identity.
And the inverse is true for bad habits. You want to increase the friction. Want to watch less TV? Unplug it after every use and put the remote in a drawer in another room. The extra effort will make you pause and think, do I really want to watch this?
Great example. Okay, so we've covered obvious, attractive, and easy. That gets the habit started. But the final law is what makes it stick for the long term. Law number 4, make it satisfying. That's a great way to think about it. And Clear gives another powerful strategy for making things difficult, which he calls a commitment device. This is a choice you make in the present that locks in better behavior for you in the future.
This is huge. The human brain evolved to prioritize immediate rewards. The pleasure of eating a donut is now. The negative health effects are far in the future. The effort of a workout is now. The benefit of being fit is in the future.
Our brains aren't good at that long-term calculation, so a habit will only stick if you feel immediately successful. The cardinal rule of behavior change is what is immediately rewarded is repeated.
So you have to find a way to give yourself an immediate win. And the simplest way to do this is a habit tracker.
Just a simple calendar where you put a big X on every day you do your habit. That little act of crossing off the day is satisfying. It's a tiny, immediate reward. It's visual proof that you are making progress.
And it creates a chain. After a few days, you'll have a streak going, and your brain will think, I don't want to break the chain. That becomes the motivation. The game isn't just doing the habit anymore, it's keeping the streak alive. That satisfaction wires the habit into your brain for good.
So, to recap, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. It's a simple but profoundly effective checklist for building any habit you want.
Now, that's the ideal system, but we all know that life is messy. What happens when you get sick, or you're on vacation, or you just have a terrible day and your willpower is shot? What happens when the system breaks?
This is where so many of us fall off. We adopt an all-or-nothing mindset. We miss one day at the gym and think, well, I've blown it. I'll start again next week or next month.
Right, the perfectionist trap. But Clear offers a simple, powerful rule to combat this. Never miss twice.
I love this rule. It's so forgiving. Missing one day is an accident. Life happens. But missing a second day is the start of a new negative habit. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the downward spiral of repeated mistakes that follows.
So if you eat a donut for breakfast, you don't throw your hands up and say, today's a cheat day. You just focus on making sure your next meal is a healthy one. If you miss a workout on Tuesday, you make absolutely sure you get back to it on Wednesday, even if it's just for 5 minutes.
It shifts the focus from being perfect to simply getting back on track as quickly as possible. That's the real skill. It's not about avoiding failure, it's about recovering from it quickly.
And this ties into another crucial idea for maintaining momentum in the long run, which is the Goldilocks rule.
Ah, yes. Not too hard, not too easy.
Exactly. The Goldilocks rule says that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. They have to be challenging enough to hold our interest, but not so difficult that we become discouraged.
If you're learning to play tennis and you play against a 4-year-old, you'll get bored quickly. If you play against Serena Williams, you'll become discouraged just as quickly. You need an opponent who is roughly your equal, who pushes you.
This is where the 1% better every day idea really shines. You don't need to make huge leaps. You just need to find a way to progress slightly. If you're lifting weights, maybe you add just 2.5 pounds to the bar. If you're learning a language, you learn 2 new words instead of 1.
It's about finding that sweet spot of just manageable difficulty. That's what keeps you engaged. Boredom and failure are the 2 biggest enemies of long-term habits, and the Goldilocks rule is the antidote. It keeps you progressing and makes the journey itself satisfying.
Okay, so we've covered the core philosophy of identity shifts, the practical framework of the 4 laws, and how to troubleshoot when you inevitably fall off track. It can still feel like a lot to take in at once.
It can, but the whole point of Atomic Habits is to start small, ridiculously small. So to wrap this all up, we want to leave our listeners with a concrete, actionable challenge.
We're calling it the 1% challenge.
The challenge is simple. We want you to pick just one habit you'd like to build. And for the next 7 days, we want you to apply the 2-minute rule to it.
Don't worry about the outcome. Don't worry about making massive progress. Just focus on mastering the art of showing up. If you want to floss, just floss 1 tooth. If you want to tidy up, just put 1 item of clothing away.
The goal for this week is not to get fit, or to get organized, or to become a reader. The goal is to become the type of person who doesn't miss workouts, the type of person who keeps their space clean, the type of person who reads. You're building the identity vote by vote.
And we want to hear about it. Choose your 1 habit and share it with us on social media using the hashtag 1%shift. Let us know what you're working on.
My final thought on all this is that we often convince ourselves that massive success requires massive action, but James Clear proves that's not true. The power is in the aggregation of marginal gains. It's the compounding interest of self-improvement.
A 1% improvement is barely noticeable, but a 1% improvement every day for a year means you'll be nearly 38 times better by the end. The impact of these tiny shifts over time is astronomical. It's not about the goal, it's about the system. And this is a system that truly works.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the 1% Shift.
We'll see you next time. Until then, keep making those tiny shifts.